Now in this masterclass we are going to take a look at the stock market index, or the plural stock market indices. So first of all, we will take a look at what a stock market index is. We will take a look at the different types of stock market indices. We'll take a look at how they are calculated. And finally, we're going to look at some examples of different stock market indices. So first of all, what is a stock market index? A stock market index is a weighted average of a number of stocks from a section of a stock market. The stock market index is calculated from the price of the selected stocks, usually on a weighted average basis. The stock market index is supposed to reflect an entire stock market or a section of that stock market and track the performance over time of that market. So what are the various different types of indices? Well, we have global and world indices. So an example of that would be the MSCI World. We have regional indices. An example of this would be the S&P Asia 50. We then have national or domestic indices, looking at individual maybe countries. So in Australia we have, the primary example would be the ASX 200. And we also have sector indices, so looking at maybe various sectors of the economy, so look at maybe health or utilities as examples. How are stock market indices calculated? Well, there are two major ways of calculating stock market indices, whether they are price-weighted indices or capitalized weighted indices. A price-weighted index is where the price of a stock is the determinant of the weighting in the index. So a bigger stock price, a higher stock price, means a bigger weighting in the index. An example of this would be the Dow Jones Industrial Average in the US. A capitalized weighted index factors in the size of the company, that is the capitalization of the individual stock or company, rather than the actual price, the price level. An example of this would be the ASX 200, the S&P 500, or the Seng. So let's have a look at in more detail some examples of stock market indices. So in Asia Pacific, stock market indices would include the ASX 200, as we've mentioned, the Nikkei 225 in Japan, and the Hang Seng in Hong Kong, a reflection in some ways of the Chinese stock market. And here we have an example of a weekly chart here on the ASX 200. In the US stock market indices, we have the Dow Jones Industrial Average, the S&P 500, and the Nasdaq 100. And here we're looking at a longer term chart going all the way back in here to 2000 on a weekly basis for the S&P 500. In Europe, we have various indices. The FTSE 100 in the UK, the Dow Jones Eurostoxx 50, which is a pan-European equity index, and the DAX in Germany. And here we have a longer term chart again from going back to 2012 on the FTSE 100, the UK index. So in this, to recap, in this masterclass, we've taken a look at what a stock market index is. We've taken a look at the different types of indices, and we've looked at how they are calculated and also some examples of those indices. This has been Steve Miley for The Bull, and please do join us again on thebull.com.au and thebull.asia. Stay bullish.